y'all. Here we are, closing out the whole rest of the week thing that we do here on this channel. And yeah, man, we're gonna get into a couple of random clips, you know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and do it. Welcome back to Eddie B TV. I am, of course, Eddie B. Nice to see y'all. And we are back at you again today for another reaction video and another random Sunday, you know. I guess I should probably say I'm gonna rename this at some point to say random because I just picked it up out of a stack today. You know, I had them on standby to get to, you know, but that's what it is, you know, not stand up, not music, just another random clip. But yeah, whatever, man, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We got a couple videos to get to today, and we're gonna start it off here on round one of Random Sunday. We're gonna get into something from someone that I have not gotten to before. And I know who the guy is, but imagine it's not something I'm used to seeing him in. We're gonna get into some David Cross today. Okay. Well, I know he does a little bit of stand-up. Haven't heard too much of that either. But he's also been in a lot of movies too. He's just a very funny dude. I like the characters that he's played in his movies. He's just a goofy ass dude, and that's what I like about him. So yeah, we're gonna get into something that he's gonna be doing today. I don't know what, but it says the title of this one is gonna be Why America Sucks at Everything. Okay, well, I have to agree with that one. You know, I don't know exactly what he's gonna say. You know, my perspective on it is a little bit more on the dumb side. You know, just like some few basic things that I, you know, can rant on about for hours. But yeah, man, we're gonna see what he's talking about with this one. This clip was suggested to me by one of my very loyal subscribers, and although it seems on the surface that the name might be easy to pronounce, but the spelling of it is a little bit weird. But hey, I'm just gonna go at this the basic way that I can and hope that I'm right. We're gonna shout this person out today, Ren. I'm just gonna say Ren on this one, man. Thank you so much for suggesting this clip to me. I know it's probably going to entail some things that I might feel, but you know, it might be a little bit more like better articulated than what I would be able to put it as. But I thank you very much for suggesting this clip to me, and we're going to get into it. Like I said, let's do this. David Cross with Why America Sucks at Everything. And if you like this reaction, please like, comment, and subscribe to your boy. Keep everything going. All right. So yeah, man, I know it feels like I got started off a little bit late, you know, today, but yeah, you know, the Mariners game was a little bit too early today, and I just wanted to watch that before I did anything else. So here we are, and here we are back getting to another clip. So let's do it. David Cross with Why America Sucks at Everything, right here on Eddie B TV, round one of this Random Sunday. Let's check it out. And let's turn on the light show while I'm still being all forgetful. All right, let's go do this here. And let's get situated. And here we go. Rat pageants. Oh.
America is the greatest country on earth. The strongest, the richest, the most powerful country on earth. As an American, I'm sure you've heard that roughly 135 times a year. 235 if you go to public school. 335 if you go to a Christian academy. We're told that Americans have the best lives of any people in the world. That we have low taxes, small government, and the highest living standards on earth. And most inaccurately, that we're the freest. Well, it is partly true. America is the richest country, not just in the world, but in the history of the world. It's really hard to comprehend just how rich we are. We have 18 million people who are millionaires. Damn, American households own about $100 trillion in wealth, an almost unthinkable amount of money. Okay, so America is the richest country ever. But there's a curious paradox. Most Americans actually have a much worse standard of living than people who live in poorer countries like Germany or Finland or Britain, but how can that be? That shouldn't make any sense. Well, here's the shitty deal. Americans get significantly worse services because our tax dollars don't fund them. So of course our services are worse, and thus we enjoy less happy lives than people who live in the aforementioned countries. Not that difficult a concept to conceive, really. You get what you pay for, said the cartoon dog to the other cartoon dog. And while you might think the reason American tax dollars don't fund as many services is because we pay lower taxes than other countries, that's not even true. When you add federal, state, local, and sales taxes and include other costs and services that our taxes don't cover but other countries' taxes do, like our uniquely high health insurance premiums, you'll find that Americans actually give away more of their wages than most of the developed world. For example, in Canada, for a married worker with 2 kids, all of the previously mentioned costs combined, from taxes to health insurance premiums, make up only 11% of the average wage. In the UK, it's just about 26%. Meanwhile, once you tack on the cost of our outlandish health insurance premiums, you're spending a whopping 43% of your paycheck. That's more than France, Finland, Sweden, and Norway. In real reality, Americans keep much less of what we own than in other countries. In other countries, their government takes a bit more tax, but then gives that money back to their citizens in the form of healthcare or job support, or a general safety net for all vulnerable citizens, no matter how dusky they are. So what do Americans get for the money we pay in? Well, sure, we get a crumbling infrastructure, shameful homelessness, and millions of hungry, neglected children, but we also get some of the worst services in the developed world. Again, our healthcare. American healthcare is simultaneously the most expensive, the least efficient, and the least effective healthcare system in the developed world.
Really?
Hey, the devil's trifecta. And in exchange for this extremely expensive, inefficient healthcare system, what do we get? Well, we get some of the worst health outcomes in the developed world. We have fewer hospital beds per capita than people in Turkey or Brunei. Americans have a lower life expectancy than people in Lebanon or Cuba. And in the Mississippi Delta and much of Appalachia, life expectancy is lower than in Bangladesh. In fact, in 2017, the United Nations sent a commissioner to West Virginia to document what he saw, and he described, quote, third world conditions of absolute poverty, unquote. We even have a higher infant mortality rate than people in Russia and Serbia. In every single metric, America does worse across the board. So why is healthcare so expensive? Because it's so complicated. You have to look for in-network physicians, schedule an established care appointment, beg for coverage from your insurance company that couldn't care less about you, and that's if you're lucky enough to have good insurance. Compare that to Britain and all of those other evil, socialist-like countries where it's simple. Public hospitals provide free treatment to people who need it. That's it. I'll repeat that. Public hospitals provide free treatment to people who need it. And here's the best part. Even though Britain offers healthcare for free, their system is actually a lot cheaper to run than ours. Per capita healthcare spending in the US is almost 3 times what it is in Britain, and almost 5 times what Canadians spend. In fact, Americans spend the most per person of any country in the world for healthcare. But the free market is more efficient, you screech. But in America, private systems often aren't efficient at all. Private drug companies have an incentive to charge whatever they can get away with for pharmaceuticals. In Canada, a carton of insulin costs about $20. In the US, it costs $300.
Damn.
And with private insurance companies footing the bill, hospitals have an incentive to get as much money out of patients as possible too. In 2015, the average cost of an MRI scan in the US was $1,119. But it was only $215 in Australia.
Really?
Spain, about $181.
Just for
And
an
our
MRI.
healthcare system is so inefficient that we spend over 1/3 of our cost on administration. The United States spends significantly more on administration than we spend on preventative or long-term healthcare. That's just not smart. Okay, we
don't
get
sound
it. We
smart.
all know that American healthcare is so much more expensive, you say, but that's the cost of having the freest freedom in God's favorite country. Well, guess what? Medical procedures that are totally free in Britain, like giving birth, cost tens of thousands of dollars in the United States. I mean, you want to talk about the cost of freedom. Sadly, because of these high costs, Americans often avoid going to the doctor, something almost half the population say they do. With shoddy or non-existent health insurance, Americans will wait until their conditions force them into the emergency room where treatment is far more expensive. Again, not a smart system. Quite often, they end up putting off medical visits and dying. Susan Finley, a 53-year-old Walmart employee in Colorado, got pneumonia and took one day off of work beyond what Walmart's policy allows. So of course, Walmart's gonna Walmart, which they did by firing her. Without her job, she lost her nominal health care coverage, she struggled to find new work, and after avoiding a visit to the doctor for flu-like symptoms, she was found dead in her apartment. When Americans do manage to get treated, they frequently can't afford it. Simple, life-saving treatments can cost tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, and if they don't have really good insurance, they're forced to take on medical debt. Tens of millions of Americans owe medical debt, often into the tens of thousands of dollars. Meanwhile, in a country like Britain or Norway, medical debt is almost unheard of. But hey, that's why GoFundMe is such a critical component of American healthcare. 1 in 3 GoFundMe campaigns is now for medical bills. I'll repeat that. 1 in 3 GoFundMe campaigns is now for medical bills. America is such a strong, powerful, rich, and great country that its citizens have to beg strangers on the internet for money so they can get life-saving treatments that are free in the rest of the developed world. But hey, that's just healthcare. Americans get terrible deals wherever you look. Let's take work, for example. Americans work longer hours than people in any other rich country in the world, and that's not because they enjoy sleep deprivation and not seeing their families for days at a time. It's because they don't want to starve, or freeze, or die. See, America has the least generous job support programs, the least generous family benefits, and the least generous unemployment benefits of any wealthy country. It's one of the only countries on Earth that doesn't guarantee paid time off for vacations. It doesn't even help provide paid time off for parents who just had a child. And it's not coincidental that we're also one of the most hostile countries to workers' rights. America has one of the lowest unionization rates in the entire world. Maybe this deprivation, our refusal to give people the means to lead a good, dignified life commensurate with how rich our country is, can explain a bit of what we've seen in the United States over the last few decades. Fraying communities, rising rates of depression and suicide, huge numbers of deaths from drug overdoses. These so-called deaths of despair, suicide, drug overdoses, alcoholic liver disease, they're one big reason why American life expectancy has actually started to decline over the last few years. And with such poor conditions, it's not a surprise that poverty is so rampant in the United States. America devotes a smaller percentage of spending on social welfare than any other industrialized economy because, say it with me, socialism is evil. It's evil. Go to Denmark and try telling those happy, healthy families enjoying their paid vacation that their system of government is evil. Guess what? I guarantee they'll know you're an American. But I digress. America also has the highest rate of child poverty of any developed country, and the highest percentage of workers earning significantly less than the national median income. That seems pretty evil to me, especially since such a tiny fraction take as much of your money for themselves and their families as you will let them. All the while, both parties smile and shake hands. Across every single metric, no people accept a worse deal than Americans today. High taxes, high costs of living for next to nothing in return from the government. The most expensive healthcare system for the worst health outcomes. More money taken from workers for the highest rate of child poverty. We are the richest country in the history of the world, but we have fewer miles of high-speed rail than Uzbekistan. We are the greatest country in the world, yet we have the most people in prison of any country, and the highest incarceration rate as well, and a higher rate of police killings than in Angola and Sudan. America is bad at everything because instead of choosing to make life better for people through a public healthcare system or more generous childcare policies or better public transit or programs that allow people to spend more time with their families, American law is designed and crafted to protect a class of parasitical middleman industries. Instead of using a proportionally tiny piece of the massive amount of the wealth in this country to make people's lives healthier and happier, most of our elected leaders are, and have been for generations, engaged in a massive project of looting. Gently and lovingly guiding as much money as possible from working people into the pockets of the well-connected and the ultra-rich. Think about that. as we start hearing about the inevitable rise in homelessness, poverty, starvation, and sickness that will occur during these coming months and years in the greatest, strongest, richest, most powerful country on the face of the earth. I'm David Cross for the Gravel Institute.
Gravel Institute. All right. Well, damn. Jeez. I'm gonna need to fill up my my antidepressants prescription pretty soon. Just watching that. Man, oh man, that was brutal. Yeah. Well, to all my subscribers in other countries, you know what I mean? This is an American talking to you. That was just depressing as hell. All right, y'all. That was David Cross with Why America Sucks at Everything. Man, did he break it down too, you know? That last part, just to start a little bit backwards here, he said something that kind of like struck a nerve in me a little bit. He was talking about looting, you know what I mean, from the government and the rich or whatever. At least that's what I think he said. It reminds me of something that I heard George Carlin say when he was on an episode of Bill Maher's Real Time with Bill Maher. Yeah, it was years and years ago, but he said something. I don't know if I'm wording it correctly. If any George Carlin fans out there, please correct me if I'm wrong when he says this. But he said the real looting takes place in the transfer from the poor to the rich, and that's when I was just kind of thinking to myself, like, I grew up like a very confused kid, as to what all of this stuff meant, what healthcare meant. I didn't know nothing about it. I went to public school. The public schools I went to were awful. No education whatsoever, man. No light at the end of the tunnel, man. It was just incompetence everywhere. And I was a kid and I was seeing it and nobody was doing anything about it when I said something. I got in trouble for speaking out. I mean, granted, I mixed that in with a lot of ignorant speaking out sometimes, but, I was just, hey, blame it on the education. No, I'm playing. But yeah, man, I just, when I used to hear kids my age that were from other countries talk to me about things that I had no clue about, I used to wonder, like, but I was told that America is the greatest country in the world, and all this, we're the best and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh gosh, to grow up and realize everything that we suck at is just like, it's mind-boggling and it's mind-numbingly painful, I know I'm using some big words, but yeah, but I can't get behind it personally, man. I gave up early on life, and I know that probably isn't gonna sound healthy to a lot of people watching me, but that was part of my depression, so to speak. I mean, I'm not diagnosed anything, so don't put the label on me, but I think that's where the beginning of it was, really, if I'm being honest. Like, it's just like I used to think everything was so real, and it's almost like you're just going somewhere bragging about who you are, and everyone's just pointing, laughing at you, It's crazy, like, to know, like, everything that he broke down in this video was a real true explanation of our ignorance and arrogance and all of our shortcomings and all of our nonsense that goes on in this country, I don't know the ins and outs, so I'm not talking like I'm an expert or nothing like that, but some things, when you look at them hard enough, you just be thinking, like, what the hell is going on up in here, man? Like, I don't get it. It's like you work the most amount of hours and yet you don't get nothing in return for it. All these ways that, healthcare is available for so many other people in other countries in ways that should be going on all over the place, but it don't. I'd be like, well, can someone explain that to me? And then all people do is talk about money and all this stuff like this. Is, there goes my understanding of it all. But, it really gets me down in the dumps, really. It used to a lot more than it does today. It still does a little bit. But just to know, like, why we're so, like, loud and obnoxious about all of the things that we talk about about America, but yet we couldn't be further from the truth on damn near everything, man. It's sad as hell, man. And I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel for this country. I've already heard my favorite people like George, like I just said, he said this country's finished. It's just a matter of playing out the end game. And then I was just like, whoa. And that's a scary thing to realize and come to terms with, man. But I think it's the truest thing. I think that we're you know, I think we're fucked. It's like straight up. There's no other way to describe it, but yeah, man, I think that what David Cross said in this video, man, it just hit it right on the nail. You know, this thing needs to change, and if somebody's gonna change it, man, it needs to happen like a lot sooner than later. But then again, this is America, and I don't see us changing our minds anytime soon. You know, like George said in another one, his Dumb Americans bit, he was just like, we're going to continue to be willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue, yeah, all that stuff. And yeah, man, I get a little bit more of an understanding of it with each passing month, you know, now that I'm in my late 30s, you know, and my best years are behind me. But it's, you know, it just sucks to think about, you know, and I wish that it was different, but hey, man, you know, I can't say that about every country. A lot of other countries have some rough things going on too, but yeah, it doesn't make my suck less, but you guys know what I'm talking about. All right, man, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off right there. Thank you one more time to Rin. Hopefully I got that right. If it's pronounced a different way, school me on it, and I'll get it right for future shout outs that you might want me to give you and for future video requests and all that stuff. Thank you very much for suggesting this one to me. You know, I used to get really sad about stuff like this and really in my feelings, like I said, depressed about why things were the way they were. Is it my fault? Is it just like, you know, whatever? And that's just like, well, it turns out it's everybody's fault, you know? And it started from somewhere, but at a certain point, you know, you should always be trying to do the most that you can to change a messed up situation. And I don't see us doing that here in America. But hey, you know, could change, could not, I don't know. But I just don't hold out any hope. I don't hold my breath. Let's just put it that way. So I thank you one more time for the great suggestion, man. I was happy to get to this one. And I'm going to go ahead and cut it off right there. One more time, David Cross with Why America Sucks at Everything. Oh, my goodness. And if you like that reaction, please like, comment, and subscribe to your boy. Keep everything going, like I always say. So yeah, man, a very educational video right there, you know. I try not to think about stuff like this too often because it just interferes with what I'm trying to be happy about today, you know. I still know that the world has its many problems, and yeah, but I don't know how to fix them, and I don't want to waste any more of my health or whatever's left of it trying to figure it out anymore. Seems kind of ignorant, but hey, it took a lot of ignorance to get to this point now, didn't it? All right, this is gonna be Eddie B TV signing off one more again here. Round one in the books, you know. I haven't gotten into David Cross before. I want to do some stand-up of his. You know, if you guys got any clips from him, stand-up wise, that you guys want to see, drop me some suggestions. You know, he's a very funny dude, and everything I've seen him in. I've only seen maybe just a couple, maybe if that, a couple of stand-up clips from him. But I would like to see what he talks about more and more. He has a very different approach to telling jokes on stage, and I wouldn't mind hearing some of it. So yeah, man, thank y'all for tuning in one more time to this one. I got one more video to go to wrap up the rest of the week, and I hope you guys like it. So until next reaction, love and appreciate y'all. Peace.